I'm Emma, and this is my passion project. Throughout this whole project, I learned that success can only come from trying, and trying leads to learning, and by learning, it leads you to success or failure. And I kept this in mind while doing this project. How did it all start? When I was little, my mom took me to many art exhibits, and while I was there, I would sometimes see photography. I felt different emotions in each photograph: happy, sad, angry, and many others. By going to these art galleries, I learned that mood affects photographs, and it made me a lot more interested in photography. At home, we would sometimes get magazines, and I would always look through them to find photos that were meaningful to me. Ever since then, I've always been interested in photography and taking photos of things that caught my eye, also making my photos better and more appealing to viewers. At the moment, my photography was okay, but I felt that it could be improved. Here is what my photographs looked like before this project. The Passion Project. So when we were introduced to this passion project, it was a chance for me to learn more about this topic. For this passion project, in order to start researching, you need to have a topic you're interested in and a driving question, and then in the end, it has to be shared. Picking my topic was easy, since photography is something I'm really passionate about, but coming up with a driving question was a lot harder and was a challenge for me in the process. The first question I came up with was, how does the difference between color photography and black and white photography make Americans feel? And what might this say about their personality? This was too hard to research about and was overall too broad, so I then changed my question to, how can you capture different emotions through photography techniques, and how can this impact the way people feel? This question was a lot more focused on the topic I was interested in. Here are some photographs that convey emotion. The research process. The next step was research. During this time, we had a visiting author, Steve Shankin. He was able to come and teach us different methods to research on our topics. During the research process, we had to find sources that could help us answer our question and take notes on them. Steve Shankin told us that taking notes in this project is key so that we would have more evidence. In my research was where I found a lot of unintentional learning. I learned that taking Cornell notes are the best way for me to keep notes from my research, and he also taught us different ways to show our evidence in the process. From my research, I learned that naturality is the best way to convey emotion in photography. Be yourself and the photograph will tell the story. I also had challenges. I found some good sources that were related to my driving question, but a lot of them weren't credible, and there were also some sources that had a good idea, but there wasn't enough evidence to take notes on. So here's my advice for finding reliable sources. Look for the author of the information, since if someone is willing enough to say they put that information out there, it's most likely to be a reliable source. Also, make sure the date that the information is published is recent, since the information could have changed by the time you're looking at it. You should also look at their style of writing. If there are many grammar issues and words spelt wrong, the source might not be reliable. One last thing would be to look at the domain of the website. .edu and .gov are most likely reliable sources, as they are used for education purposes. So this was an obstacle in my research process, but after looking through different sources, I found a website that helped me a lot with my research, and it was also credible. As I was researching, I also found out many different skills not related to emotion that photographers have that also make a photo great. Once we were finished researching online, we then did interviews and surveys to help explore our topic deeper. From my research, I found out about a famous photographer, Steve McCurry, who portrays a lot of meaning and emotion in his photography and specializes in portrait photography. Since he was an expert in this area, I thought that he would be a great person to interview. Here are the questions I asked. But after sending the interview a day later, someone associated with Steve McCurry replied saying that he was currently traveling and couldn't reply directly to me. But he also helped me by including a link to Steve McCurry's website that included many interviews with Steve McCurry and helped me a lot in the research process. To find out more about emotions related to photography, I sent out a survey to students at SAS so that I could see what emotions they felt that connected to the photograph the most. My survey results were varied, but in most cases, a lot of students said that the photos made them feel sad or other emotions that they felt themselves. So overall, my survey helped me look at what others felt, but I was also surprised by the results, since the emotions that were available were the most common emotions people felt, but in my survey, many said that the photographs made them feel their own emotions. After researching and taking notes on our topic, Steve Shankin then taught us how to storyboard, which really helped me organize and categorize everything I was doing in this project, and I would definitely do this again. What did I learn? Here is an overview from what I've learned. When taking the photograph, you want to have your subject act naturally. You can do this by taking a photo when they're not looking or asking them to take a photo of them being themselves. This will add emotion to your photography because natural emotions in a photo are the most truthful. On the other hand, asking your subject to smile, most times it's not what they're truly feeling. Another way to create an emotional photo would be to think of the story you want to tell when someone looks at your photo. What emotions do you want them to feel? To create an emotional photo, you should also focus on faces, especially the eyes. Eyes portray the most emotion, and you can really tell what they're feeling. Taking a close-up shot of the subject's face can make the viewer feel what they felt in that moment. Emotion doesn't have to just come from people. You could also take photos of animals, nature, buildings, and many others. It all depends on what you do when taking the photo that makes it emotional. Nature can also contribute to an emotional photo. For example, the sun could represent happiness, and rain could represent a moody atmosphere. Clouds could contribute as well. Dark clouds could mean drama, full and airy clouds could mean carefree, and wispy clouds could represent calmness. But different people will connect to each photo differently, so people will experience different emotions. My action. I use these techniques to take photographs of my own that are emotional. Here are some of the photographs I took using the different techniques I learned. Overall, I think the photographs are a lot better after using the techniques, and it really helped me make my photos a lot more emotional. I decided to showcase other photos that I took that also included emotion in a photography website, Flickr, where you can share photos and everything that has to do with photography to other photographers. I will also share this information on photography blogs that I had come across in my research to share my ideas with other people interested in photography. I'm also thinking of sharing this information with the 6th grade art class at SAS, as they are soon going to be doing their photography unit, and I think this will help them a lot. I hope you've taken away something new that you've learned from my presentation and in your own passion projects. In the end, I learned that success can only come from trying, and trying leads to learning. By learning, it leads you to success or failure. And in my case, it has allowed me to learn something new.